Good morning. Welcome to this morning's worship service. My name is Charlene Reynolds Santo. I'm a member of the worship arts team, and I use she, her pronouns. Whoever you are, wherever you are from, whoever you love, you are welcome here. All are welcome here as we gather to create an understanding, welcoming, and family-friendly community. Today, we join together to create a space where we nurture and explore individual spirituality, build a committed and loving community, and help heal the world. Now, if this is your first time with us, we're really happy that you have joined us. Please visit our webpage to learn more about this beloved community. There you can connect with our staff, and for anyone that's here in the sanctuary that's new, you can come and speak to me or Melissa Martin after the service in Fellowship Hall. Now today we have Reverend Ken Reeves. Ken is a graduate of Starr King School for Ministry and has served in congregations in Ohio and Delaware. He has a master's in pastoral counseling and a Ph.D. in clinical psychology. Reverend Ken is an author and is employed as a clinical director of the Center for Career Development and Ministry, along with being a consulting psychologist. We are grateful to have Reverend Ken Reeves here with us today, and he will be joining us again in the next few months, I think next week too. Well, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. May peace be in your hearts. Through the energy of freedom and the warmth of love, may you live the fullness of being alive, and in that fullness find peace. Through justice and understanding, may humanity be at peace, and may all of life on earth live together in balance and peace. I'm glad to be with you all this morning. I visited here, I've been here before, some years ago. Nice to be back. You may hear in my voice that I'm getting over a cold. Usually my voice has the resonance of Morgan Freeman's. Today it has the resonance of a deflating balloon. Nevertheless, glad to be with you all. I'm feeling better. I brought Purell, a mask, water, Ricolas. I should be prepared. I probably will not linger very long after the service, just so I don't spread any germs. I don't want anybody to get what I've got or had. Anyway, good to be with you all. I want to welcome anyone who might be visiting here for the first time. I think it takes a little courage to enter the doors of an unfamiliar congregation, and so I extend my welcome and applaud your courage. And if I were to introduce this congregation to our visitors, I would guess that like other Unitarian Universalist congregations, this is a support community for people on various journeys towards ultimate goals, such as love, or peace, or union. And one of the ways we support each other at our best is when we can get out of the weeds and see things from a bird's eye view. And from that vantage, see the path that's gotten us to where we are now, see where we are now, and see a path forward. One example of this in our tradition comes from Theodore Parker, Reverend Theodore Parker. At one point, he was addressing an anti-slavery convention in Boston a few years before the Civil War, and soon after the Dred Scott decision had been laid down by the Supreme Court. This Dred Scott decision looked like a gift to those who wanted to continue to own other people. Nevertheless, Theodore Parker commented on the trend of anti-slavery progress around the world and offered that this was inevitable. It would happen even in America, and ended with a line about the universe bends towards justice. My service today hopes or aspires to this kind of bird's eye vantage and hopes that it supports you on your journeys. I hope that as you journey, you find love and freedom and live the full richness of being alive. Let us light the chalice, and we can read together. In light of truth, in the warmth of community, fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the holiness we speak. And each week we recite our children's affirmation as a reminder of the most important elements of who we are. Feel free. Hello. Please join me in reciting these words. We are the Unitarian Universalists, Church of the Open Mind, loving heart, and helping hands. The service today has the theme of sharing is deeply embedded in the service, and this hymn is a nice capsulation of the value of sharing. It's a very short hymn, so let's sing it together 3 times.
Come and join us up at the front. Waiting for my friends. Good morning, everyone. We're going to read Stone Soup this morning, and I'm going to read the story while Charles shows you the pictures. A young man was walking. He walked and he walked. He walked all night and he walked all day. He was tired and he was hungry. At last he came to a big house. "What a fine house," he said. "There will be plenty of food for me here." He knocked on the door. A little old lady opened it. "Good lady," said the young man, "I am very hungry. Can you give me something to eat?" "I have nothing to give you," said the little old lady. "I have nothing in the house, I have nothing in the garden," and she began to close the door. "Stop," said the young man. "If you will not give me something to eat, will you give me a stone?" "A stone," said the little old lady. "What will you do with a stone? You cannot eat a stone." "Ah," said the young man, "I can make soup from a stone." Now the little old lady had never heard of that. Make soup from a stone? Fancy that. "There are stones in the road," said the little old lady. The young man picked up a round gray stone. "This stone will make a wonderful soup," he said. "Now get me a pot." The little old lady got a pot. "Fill the pot with water and put it on the fire," said the young man. The little old lady did as she was told, and soon the water was bubbling in the pot. The young man put the round gray stone into the pot. Now we will wait for the stone to cook into soup, he said. The pot bubbled and bubbled. After a while, the little old lady said, "This soup is cooking fast." "It is cooking fast now," said the hungry young man, "but it would cook faster with some onions." So the little old lady went to the garden to get some yellow onions. Into the pot went the yellow onions with the round gray stone. "Soup from a stone," said the little old lady. "Fancy that." The pot bubbled and bubbled. After a while, the little old lady said, "This soup smells good. It smells good now, but it would smell better with some carrots." So the little old lady went out to the garden and pulled up all the carrots she could carry. Into the pot went the long, thin carrots with the yellow onions and the round gray stone. Soup from a stone. Fancy that. After a while, the little old lady said, "This soup tastes good. It tastes good now, but it would taste better with beef bones." So the little old lady went to get some juicy beef bones. Into the pot went the juicy beef bones and the long, thin carrots and the yellow onions and the round gray stone. The pot bubbled and bubbled. After a while, the little old lady said, "This soup is fit for a prince." "It is fit for a prince now," said the hungry young man, "but it would be fit for a king with a bit of pepper and a handful of salt." So the little old lady got the pepper and salt, and into the pot went the bit of pepper and the handful of salt with the juicy beef bones and the long, thin carrots and the yellow onions and the round gray stone. After a while, the little old lady said, "This soup is too thin." "It's too thin now," said the hungry young man, "but it would be nice and thick with some butter and barley." So the little old lady went to get butter and barley, and into the pot went the butter and barley with the bit of pepper and the handful of salt and the juicy beef bones, the long, thin carrots, and the yellow onions and the round gray stone. The pot bubbled and bubbled. After a while, the little old lady tasted the soup again. "That is good soup," she said. "Yes," said the hungry young man, "this is soup fit for a king. Now we will eat it." "Stop," said the little old lady. "The soup is indeed fit for a king. Now I will set a table fit for a king." So she took out her best tablecloth and her best dishes. And then the little old lady and the hungry young man ate all the soup made with the butter and barley and the bit of pepper and the handful of salt and the juicy beef bones and the long, thin carrots and the yellow onions and the round gray stone. "Soup from a stone," said the little old lady. "Fancy that." "Now I must be on my way," said the young man. He took the stone out of the pot and put it into his pocket. "Why are you taking the stone?" said the little old lady. "Well," said the young man, "the stone is not cooked enough. I will have to cook it some more tomorrow." And the young man said goodbye. He walked down the road. He walked and he walked. "What a fine supper I will have tomorrow," he said to himself. "Soup from a stone. Fancy that." What do you guys think the woman learned from the young man? Holly? That's true. Kaylee? Yeah, he did kind of tell her what to do, right? All right, we're going to sing you off to your classes this morning. Thank you, everyone.
We take time during their service to light our candles of community, peace, and justice. We light our red candle of community to signify our interconnection. Wherever you are in time and space, newcomer or longtime member, here in the sanctuary or joining us virtually, we light this candle holding you in love. As we light this candle, we invite you to speak aloud the name or names of people who are on your mind and heart today to bring them fully into this place. We light our blue candle of peace for all the places worldwide where people live with the threat of war and violence. And we light our yellow candle of justice. May all people everywhere live their lives in freedom, and may we each do our part in the work for justice and liberation for all in the global community. As we recommit ourselves to the work of love and justice, may we each voice this commitment by saying amen. 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 Spirit that holds us, remind us of your presence. Be with us this morning. Amen. And if you have a joy or sorrow you would like to honor through lighting a silent candle, you are invited to come forward now.
In this first reading, the Old Testament book of Samuel recounts King David coveting the beautiful Bathsheba, wife of Uriah, a soldier in David's army. To claim Bathsheba, Samuel recounts, "In the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it with Uriah. In it, he wrote, "Put Uriah out in front, where the fighting is fiercest. Then withdraw from him, so he will be struck down and die." 2 Samuel 11, 14, 15. David's ploy worked. Samuel goes on, "When Uriah's wife heard that her husband was dead, she mourned for him. After the time of mourning was over, David had her brought to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son. But the thing David had done displeased the Lord." 2 Samuel 11, 26, 27. Our next reading is from the book of Matthew. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." "We have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. "Bring them to me," he said. And he directed the people to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to his disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Matthew 14, 15 to 21.
Such a dream
inspiring. Thank you, choir. Okay, I'll keep going. You might be like me, needing support as our own government abandons its support of people, attacks our rights, helps polluters poison us, raises prices, dismisses science, wrecks international trade, rejects international rules, appeases autocrats, crumples the Constitution, kills Americans, lies about it, attacks another nation, and threatens further violence. Naturally, I view these horrors with the expression of the figure in Edvard Munch's The Scream. At times, but I don't want that to be my permanent condition. Personally and politically, I do better out of the weeds, where, from a bird's eye view, I can see the path that has gotten us here, the current predicament, and a path forward. The path that got us here began at the origin of human history. If we condense human history to an hour, for 58 minutes, we were hunting and gathering. Those 58 minutes show human nature to be cooperative and willing to share. When Columbus met hunters and gatherers, he observed, when you ask for something, they never say no. To the contrary, they share with anyone. Nature made sharing easy by providing food, water, tools. They lived in egalitarian societies. If someone rose to leadership, the group would keep them humble. A Kalahari hunter-gatherer explains, "We refuse one who boasts, for someday his pride will make him kill somebody." So we always speak of his meat as worthless. This way we cool his heart and make him gentle. Hunter-gatherer life was generally peaceful. Fossils show 2% of deaths were human-caused. I imagine as a downside, hunter-gatherer life involved insecurity. People could find the food they needed, but could not control its source. Nevertheless, primal life was not so bad. As evidence in colonial America, when European Americans were abducted by indigenous people and then rescued back to civilization, many escaped back to the woods. Then, in our hour of human history, 2 minutes ago, people began farming. 15,000 years ago, in the ancient Near East, a warmer climate made farming easy. Drop a few seeds in a silty floodplain and crops grow. With plentiful and predictable food, it made sense to sink roots, build houses and cities. As agriculture proceeded, someone at some point enclosed a piece of ground and claimed, "This is mine." At that moment, a side of human nature emerged that wants ownership. As with hunter-gatherer life, ownership and civilization have two sides. I like the predictable control of owning. Food in the fridge, a place I can lay my head at night, but there are downsides. Sharing is communal. However, ownership isolates. Owning requires protecting what one owns, causing owners to suspect other people as potential thieves. With ownership, more is better, encouraging accumulation. The objects owned expanded from land to grain to livestock to people. 3/4 of people in ancient Athens were enslaved. In families, men owned wives, parents owned children. One rule of ownership: you can treat your property in any way you want. Therefore, wives, children, and enslaved people could be beaten. Violence was further used to take more property. Deaths by human violence increased from 2% in hunter-gatherer time to about 7%. Successful warriors were elevated into leadership, where they accumulated power. Power has the effect some blows to the head do to disable parts of the brain, turning a pretty nice person into a ruthlessly insensitive person. Indeed, when struck with power, people become shamelessly arrogant, reckless, self-centered, and impulsive. A study of people's driving behavior shows the effect of power. When subjects in this study were given an inexpensive little car to drive, they all stopped for people at a crosswalk, Confederates in this study. The same people behind the wheel of a Mercedes or BMW, almost half of them blew past crosswalk pedestrians. Time for a little water. Over recent centuries, or the 2 minutes of our hour of human history, humanity has proceeded with sharing in tension with ownership. Kings owned land and people and used violence to conquer more. Yet the story of David's treachery critiques kings and their ownership. David's ownership is contrasted with Jesus sharing loaves and fishes. At its founding, the United States rejected rule by kings and formed a government of the people, by the people, for the people. However, when the Constitution was enacted, 1/4 of Americans were enslaved, and most states limited voting to property-owning white males, about 6% of the population. Governments focused on trade and war, good for owners, funded by excise taxes, customs duties, sales of land, and tariffs, largely shielding owners from taxes. On the other hand, the Civil War constrained ownership by outlawing the ownership of people. Other countries abolished slavery. On the other hand, countries still held colonies, a form of enslavement. In World War II, Germany and Japan sought to conquer their own colonies. When they were resisted, that questioned the logic of England, France, United States, other countries owning colonies. And indeed, colonies shed their colonizers. Furthermore, the post-World War II world created international structures: the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, the International Declaration of Human Rights, guided by the belief that when we all share the world to everyone's benefit, life goes better than with ownership run amok. Governments added to their responsibilities public health, education, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, sharing with many the benefits of society. And yet today, ownership is returning with a vengeance. Autocrats in the world work to own more and dismiss impediments such as post-World War II rules. Rejecting the UN Charter, one autocrat invades Ukraine, another decides to run Venezuela. Within each country, its autocratic owner sets the rules that enable one to draw wealth from their nation's resources and people's labor. Such owners resemble colonizers, only this time homegrown. Our own strongman gets away with autocracy because he supports the owning sought by many. Those who own much and want to own more see him as their enabler and prop him up via the media outlets and politicians they own. People who own less and want to own more are seduced by the promise of more and so add their support to the owner-in-chief. Unfortunately for them, those who own more have been the winners, as the richest, 0.1%, 340,000 Americans, own 14% of America's wealth, while the least wealthy half of the country own 2.5% of America's wealth. A leader who conversely supports sharing threatens the enrichment of the owners. Such a leader can't breathe without being excoriated, while the king of ownership breaks laws with impunity. To help owners own more, our current government is regressing into its past to focus on ownership's interests in trade and war, to jettison support for people, and to replace taxes with funding sources that go easy on owners. And if people object, the government attacks them. This is one bird's eye view of the path that's gotten us to this point and our current predicament. Given this view, I encourage us all to envision a path forward. I envision a future in which sharing and ownership balance. Although ownership and accumulated wealth and power corrupt people, I do not suggest putting ownership back in a bottle. Like, I like owning a house. Yet I do see the need for curbs on ownership and support for sharing. One rule to curb ownership: you can do what you want with what you own until that hurts someone else. So if I own land and with a creek running through it, I can build a bridge over the channel, but I can't dump arsenic in the water because that would hurt somebody downstream. To curb ownership further, I reject privatizing efforts as schemes to help owners own more, and instead support expanding the shared public domain. More public education, libraries, healthcare, childcare, housing, research, broadcasting, utilities, transportation, public lands, and social safety nets. I support public funding of elections, so our policymakers are beholden to us, not to owners. I support shifting influence from few to many, wherever possible. For example, by amending the Constitution. It currently gives the president blanket executive power. I suggest instead the Constitution read, the President of the United States shall execute laws passed by Congress. That would shift federal policy-making power from the one president to the 535 lawmakers in Congress. I support sharing the world via international conferences, agreements, and laws with teeth that can restrain autocratic owners. Such teeth would include giving the International Criminal Court jurisdictional power to arrest, try, and jail any official from any country who breaks international laws. I suggest the sharing of the earth with all of life, such that the healthy life on earth supports our lives. Last summer, I saw a lovely example of sharing in Japan's Imperial Palace Gardens. In one garden, I came to a small creek, mossy boulders, an arching footbridge, some cool, gnarly pine trees, and the sound of moving water. Years ago, royalty owned these gardens. A peasant like me would have been blocked from entry by a blustering man brandishing a sword. Now, all of Japan owns this garden, and anyone with the equivalent in yen of $3.50 can be soothed by its beauty, compose haiku, and snap photos. But we are not there yet. For now, our predicament is taking us on a journey. At least it's taking me on a journey into a night so dark it is hard to see forward. Yet on any journey, one encounters spiritual support, a spark of light. This spiritual support reminds me of a conversation with a friend commenting on his mother. Into her late 90s, aware of politics, and pretty cheerful. My friend saw her mood as reflecting her faith. My friend and her mother are Black, and their family comes from Oklahoma, where in 1921, white rioters burned a Black neighborhood of Tulsa. Faith supported people as they kept putting one foot in front of the other, such that here is my friend, a neuropsychologist who helped train me in psychology. Faith affirms that God is on one side. The God of Scripture disapproves of murder and theft by an owner king and supports the sharing of loaves and fishes. The Spirit is further on our side as it gives us the raw materials of life and love. It says yes to being alive. It provides energy that keeps us journeying through darkness. This journey reminds me of the first noble truth of Buddhism, which can be translated loosely as, you don't get the world you want. Yet Buddhism trains people to be awake to the world. The title Buddha means the awakened one. Awake, people clearly see what is, and what is includes the unity of all. At one with all, related to all, I want the good for all. And belonging to a unity of all gives peace. In secular terms, people can respond to this world by withdrawing, pushing back, and meeting needs. I see a time for each. Sometimes I crawl under a blanket. The pushing back involves the word no. At protests, I see the signs: no kings, no ice. And then there is meeting needs. I need cooperation and sharing with others, which meets my need for security. A MAGA supporter has needs. maybe to control a world that is changing around them, which would give them security. If I were speaking to someone like this, I would hope to bring enough composure to not to point out their illogic, but to inquire into that person's needs in search of our shared needs. As we consider each other's needs, we would be sharing. The theologian Martin Buber might call this an I-thou encounter with God uniting us. Our current crisis, at least as far as I can see, resembles wartime with many of us as soldiers. We want the war to end. But until then, we may be more alive than usual, experiencing emotions with depth and range. Emotionally, I feel fear when corrupt owners deploy the vast power of the state to commit violence on their behalf. And sadness, as if at a funeral. She was a lovely country. She had her flaws, but noble aspirations. I feel hope, like there are signs of life. Let's keep applying CPR. I feel a determined anger when I email and call my representatives in the White House. I will not go quietly into the night. I feel caring for other people. Indeed, in battle, soldiers risk all for the soldier next to them. For me, that's you. And during war, people yearn for the good, for peace. Yearning means after saying no, saying yes to a just and peaceful world, balancing primal sharing with civilized owning. It helps my state of mind to be grounded in that to which I am saying yes. And I believe it's politically powerful to say yes to something great. Make the owners say no. Furthermore, yearning directs our energy to spiritual sources which we do not control, but which do bring us infinite support. Throughout history, people have lifted their yearning in prayer. Dear God, Spirit of love, unity of all, source of infinite support, ownership is running over people's lives. As we stand for people and for all of life, give us your supportive breath of life. Fill us with your support such that we have strength to share with our neighbors. And when enveloped by darkness, let there be light. Amen.
Thank you. Each Sunday, UUCR gives away half of the money received in the collection plate to a nonprofit organization that shares our UU values. It's a simple yet powerful way for each of us to help heal the world. There's a growing movement in churches across the country to find ways to make reparations for using music composed by enslaved African people. No royalties have ever been paid for a number of the spirituals and hymns we sing during our services. As a small first step towards acknowledging this injustice, we have chosen Hamilton Garrett Music and Art Academy in Roxbury as our Share the Plate recipient for January. It provides high-quality, formal music education to the children and youth of Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. Please give as generously as you are willing and able to our Share of the Plate offering to help fund scholarships for the Hamilton Garrett Music and Art Academy and to support the mission of UUCR. Now, if this is your first time with us, please let the plate pass you by. Your presence is gift enough.
Thank you, choir. That was beautiful. Thank you, Bonnie. And thank you, Reverend Ken, for being with us today, despite the snow and ice and cold, and your own cold. I'm Melissa Martin, your Member Services and Volunteer Coordinator, and my pronouns are she and her. This is the part of our service called our Congregational Life, where we highlight various opportunities for engagement centered in our UUCR mission, inviting you into deeper relationships with fellow congregants. You are invited to join us for our annual Starlight Soiree, a favorite UUCR tradition filled with great food and music, engaging company, and spirited fundraising in support of our community on Saturday, March 14th. The evening begins at 6 p.m. with appetizers, beverages, and the silent auction, followed by a live auction at 7 p.m. Throughout the night, participants can sign up for group activities and experiences, many hosted by fellow UUCR members. From fixed price signups and memorable group meals to special experiences and vacation rentals, the auction offers something for every interest and every budget. The Starlight Soiree shines brightest because of the creativity and generosity of our beloved community. We welcome new ideas and offerings, whether it's hosting a dinner, sharing a talent, creating an experience, or donating an unused gift card. If you're interested but could use some help or support or a co-host, the soiree planning team is happy to help brainstorm, connect you with others, and bring ideas to life. So mark your calendar and plan to join us for an evening of connection, celebration, and community spirit. This week in our congregational life, there's something nearly every day. Tomorrow, celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day at Reading Memorial High School's Performing Arts Center for a family-friendly event that begins at 9 a.m., and later, Ken Flanders offers Buddhist meditation. Tuesday, Michelle Catalano hosts our social crafty drop-in via Zoom from 7 to 9 p.m. You don't need to be crafty to join. It is mostly social. Wednesday, the 21st, Recovery Dhamma in the evening. Thursday, choir rehearses, and you're always welcome to connect. Friday is our international folk dancing classes at 12:30, and Saturday is the men's group via Zoom. Next Sunday, our guest minister will again be Reverend Ken. He'll be back to lead our service that supports the principle of cooperation. When people cooperate with each other, with nature, with reality, and with the spirit, our needs are met. When needs are met, we are happy. This service tells stories of cooperation involving King Arthur and his knights, sharks, and newly adopting parents, and we hope you will join us. For today, Paula Hula is hosting our social hour, and Love is a Verb will be there with an engagement opportunity. Yesterday was a beautiful celebration of life for our beloved UCR member, Dakota Rain, and many of you were able to show up and care for her, her family, and her memory in ways that this congregation does best. The family left behind treats for our social hour today, and as a gesture of their gratitude and thanks, her daughters also invite you to take a flower from any of the arrangements that are left here when you leave the sanctuary. They also offer today's chancel flowers from Dakota. They gifted us with one final gift, this special orb. It contains some of Dakota's ashes so that she'll always be a part of us here, and she always will. Many thanks to all who made today possible and for adding your gifts to our congregation. Now, please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 121, Whale Builds a Land.
Land where we bind up the broken,
I invite us to read together the extinguishing of the chalice and printed in the order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. I want to thank everybody who participated in this service, Bonnie and the choir, Charlene, Melissa, Kimberly, the ushers, and all of us. This is an act of sharing. We are part of a long tradition of human sharing. And I hope that you find from sharing within this community and in the world joy and peace. Amen.